to use kind of a yellow ochre for my lizard. And if you don't have yellow ochre, you could do like yellow and then dots of brown, and then you can blend them together using a damp brush. Get out your pointer brush and do this step. If you do not have yellow ochre, do this step with your yellow, your bright yellow that's on your palette. Okay. Get lots of paint on it, very little water, just a little drop of water, and do your outline. And then friends who do have yellow ochre, flip over to a damp flat and start spreading that color into the body of your lizard's head. All right, so for those who do not have yellow ochre and need to hand mix your paint, it's very simple. You're just going to take yellow and brown, okay? But don't mix the brown in there yet. Just do this step with bright yellow. And I'm going to do it over here so you can see. And just like with the yellow ochre, once you're done outlining with your bright yellow or your yellow ochre, drag it in. Now, for those who have yellow ochre, you can continue working your way around the body. But if you don't have yellow ochre and you only have bright yellow, I want you to work with the area while it's still damp. So clean off your brush. This is the blending technique for those who do not have yellow ochre. If you have yellow ochre, ignore this step. All right. Collect some of that brown paint on the tip of your brush and add a few dots onto your yellow section. Then flip over to your damp flat and blend, and you will get yellow ochre. It might be a brighter version of yellow ochre, and that's okay. If you don't like how bright it is, you can always add a drop or two of brown on there to fix it. Just go light with the brown and add your dots slowly. Because brown is an intense color. You can overpower what you have if you add too much color. You can always add more, mix it, pull back, observe, and then make your judgment from there. Now for your little specks here, it might be good to go over these with brown. And friends, if you wanted the different colors here between the skin and the underside of the chin and belly, you could steal that blending technique idea with that bright yellow to kind of get a lighter color that still kind of like has the yellow tint to it. Like what I did right here, you could do with the belly. Or you can just add a few dots of yellow ochre to the darker areas and make those areas darker. There's so many ways, so many roads to get to one place, right? I noticed that our little beardies, they have these like little dots of color on their body too, right here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until my beardie, and I call my dragon my beardie. I'm going to wait until my beardie dries, and then I'll add those dots using dots of brown watercolor paint. But just wait until he's completely dry, okay? Or else you're just going to bleed brown everywhere, and it's going to be very frustrating. Alright, so this is dry. If you touch your paper, no water's coming off. Your paper's not super cool to the touch. That means that you are safe to move forward. Okay? So, let's just add that brown outline here to get rid of your pencil. Maybe add a few shading. I'm going to teach you how to add shade today too, or shadow, by building layers. Oh my gosh. Alright, just get a little bit of brown on the tip of your skinny brush. I like to use a flat because it helps me move more effectively. Kind of darken around the beard. Establish that beard using thin, light hand strokes. If you need to feather out some of that color, feel free to feather it out. If you put way too much color in this area, scoop it up with your brush and move it to another area. If you need more water, water bug, or ballerina dance the tip of your bristles against the surface of your water cup and tap. If you end up needing more paint, just do very short flicks. We're not spending a lot of time in our paint palette here, but we're using the brown to help create some shadow here. See, my shadow's too dark here. It's way too dark. So I'm going to scoop up some of that paint and I'm going to spread it to the outline of my leg. But be careful about overworking your paper, okay? Now this leg is going to have more shadow on it because it's further away from the viewer and the belly is covering it. Same thing with this leg here. The chest and the body is casting a shadow upon this area. So we're going to add a shadow here. And the shadow's too dark. We're going to pick it up and we're going to redistribute. Pick it up, redistribute. Anywhere where there might be an underside to your animal, add an additional layer of paint. All of this is going to be sand. So I'm going to lighten my line. See how I'm not brushing it away, I'm blowing it away. I'm doing that because I don't want to risk smearing any paint. Now, for your sand, get your sand nice and get your flat here, your large flat, nice and damp, right? And pick up your choice of yellow that you are interested in using for today's class. For the sand, I'm going to do a cadmium yellow. This is yellow ochre. This is a warm yellow. This is kind of a cooler yellow. And I'm doing this bright yellow because I want my brownish kind of lizard to kind of stand out. So you're going to pick up that paint, and because your flat is damp, you're going to be able to easily scratch it across the paper. I want you to try doing that. Feel free to then kind of adjust your strokes so they come in at a curve. Be very careful around your beard here. You want to be very careful because you don't want that brownish yellow ochre to start going into your sand. So just chisel your way through your beard using the ends of your bristles and feather your way along the legs and the chest of your animal. You might need to have more control over your brush using a more shorter grip here. It does help to dab too, like dab, dab, dab around these areas instead of doing long flamboyant strokes. It'll give you more control. Now right now we are just putting in the base filler shade of our sand, right? It's a very flat, singular shade of yellow all the way across the board, right? Well, later I'm going to teach you how to add shadow by adjusting the color of your sand. But right now, let's just focus on filling in the areas that need to be filled in. And then we will focus on the other stuff. See how I'm dancing between water and paint? Super important. Because your paint is going to wear out. You're going to get to a certain point where you're going to run out of paint. And you're going to get to a certain point where you're going to run out of water too. So just keep that in mind. And just visit each area sparingly. Little dab of water, little dab of paint, outline, and drag. Switch to a flat and drag. Add more detail once your first layer dries. Now you looking to get into this shadow for your sand. It should be dry now. Let's switch to that kind of yellowish ochre here, right? And just add streaks of shadow underneath our lizard. You want to do it underneath the feet, anywhere where the lizard may make contact or its shape may be reflected onto the surface of the sand. Wherever your feet touch, that's where your darkest layer of color is going to be. It's called a contact shadow. Because you got brown in your pot, and the brown is being reflected off of the sand. It's called a reflective shadow. Now if you wanted to add some lines to break up some of that yellow space, you can. Just go super gentle with the amount of color you're using here because you don't have something that's supposed to be casting a shadow on there.